In this video, I'm going to focus on the differences for your career between having an MSA or a Master in Science in Accounting, an MBA, a Master of Business Administration, or a CPA, which is Certified Public Accountant, based on my experience working for the last decade and a half working in accounting, both in public accounting and in private industry in New York City. So I know a thing or two about the subject. So the way I like to break this down is that I'm going to give you first my overall recommendation, which one I recommend for your career overall, and then we'll talk about these specific cases where you have a low GPA, you need 150 credits, you're doing a career switch, you need more networking, someone else is paying for it. For example, the CFO/COO track, that's a different career track, academics as a career track, and then required for a promotion when you have certain requirements for a promotion. But I wanted to give you first my recipe for success, what worked really well for me and for the colleagues that I've seen over the years, right? So my recipe overall is going to be a bachelor's in accounting, right? Not a master's, just a bachelor, a 4-year degree, right? Plus a 3.5 GPA, right? Which is going to matter more at the beginning when you're graduating. Down the line, it's not going to matter much, but it's going to matter at the beginning in terms of landing really prestigious internships and jobs at the beginning out of college, right? So 3.5, stay above 3.5 if you can, at the very least above 3.0, right? Below 3.0 is going to be a problem, and you're going to fall into here if you have a low GPA. I'm going to have a recommendation here for you in a second. Bachelor's plus 3.5 GPA plus getting your CPA license, right? And naturally, overall, my recommendation is going to be to get a CPA based on my recipe, right? So my recipe is a bachelor's degree in accounting, 3.5 GPA, a CPA license, plus real life experience, and that's going to guarantee you, if you live in a big city, especially 5 years into your career, you're 100K mark in your base salary. Mid-year, between 10 and 15 years into your career, you're around the $250,000 range without equity. So this is going to be guaranteed with my recipe, especially if you live in a big city. All right, so having said that my overall recommendation is to get a CPA license if your goal is to succeed in an accounting career. Let's talk about some of the other cases where I might recommend you getting into an MSA or an MBA program. The first one on my list is having a low GPA. So especially early on in your career, if your goal is to get into a big four or having an internship at a prestigious firm, it's going to be a little bit difficult, maybe very difficult for you to get that kind of role with a 2.7 or 2.8 GPA. So in order for you to lift up your GPA, you have two options. Either take additional classes beyond your bachelor's degree, right, and do well in those, or you enroll in an MSA or an MBA. And it might make sense for you in this case to hit two birds with one stone, bring up your GPA, and also put the 3 letters of an MSA or an MBA after your name on LinkedIn, right, on your resume. So in this case, I might recommend for you to get into an MSA or an MBA program. Okay, the second case is getting your 150 credits. So now, as I said, a CPA is my recommendation overall. But to get the CPA license in most states in the United States, you need 150 credits. So in many cases, you finish your bachelor's degree with 120 credits in most cases, right? So in order for you to get to the 150 credits, you would need to either enroll in extra classes after the bachelor's degree to get to 150 credits, or you can study for an MSA or an MBA. Again, this is one case where I would say, okay, heading 2 birds with one stone, getting an additional degree and getting to 150 credits. However, I recommend just getting the 150 credits by studying extra during your bachelor's degree and not waste the money and effort on getting these two. If you can get 150 credits within your bachelor's degree program, that's my recommendation, because with these, you're going to have to spend extra money and time to get the actual certification. So in both of these cases, a lower GPA, or if you're trying to get the extra credits, I'll recommend getting an MSA or an MBA program. Okay. Now, the third case that we got is career switch. And what I'm talking about here as an example is somebody who finished a bachelor's degree, say in marketing, right? And they're beginning to test the waters right after getting the bachelor's degree in marketing. And they're not happy with what they're seeing. They're not happy with the work quality, with the career opportunities, with the pay. And now all of a sudden they're thinking, maybe I should have majored in accounting instead, right? So what they can do here is they can do a career switch by getting either an MSA or an MBA with a concentration in accounting, and that can give them some opportunity here to make a career switch. Okay, now the other one that I have here is networking. And networking, what I mean by that is that you don't have enough network around you, professionals, to advance your career opportunities, right? So you don't know enough people to advance your career opportunities. When you enroll, especially in an MBA program, that's going to be my recommendation here. When you enroll in an MBA program, you are going to be working alongside or studying alongside professionals. These are most of the time people who have jobs and go back to study for an MBA. And these are going to be your network, the people that you're going to be studying with and collaborating on projects that are going to help you get some career opportunities by networking with them, right? But the asterisk that I have here is that you got to be willing to be social. So you got to be willing to put yourself out there, right? If you're going to sit in the classroom and keep to yourself and not interact with others, this is not the route that I recommend, right? This is only for someone who's willing to put themselves out there, talk to people, be outgoing, and network with them. This is the asterisk that I have here. Only if you're willing to be social and also willing to go in person, right? Because a virtual or an online MBA program is not going to give you that networking effect. It's going to give you some, maybe because you're going to have to collaborate in some projects, but not enough like in person. So it's going to be in person. The asterisk is in person, and also you got to be willing to put yourself out there. Okay. Now, the next one I got is if someone else is paying for it, right? So if you work for a company or a firm and they're nice enough to see a potential in you, they look at you and they say, this kid has potential, we want to spend on him and invest in him by sending him to get an MSA or an MBA, that's great, right? If that's the case, go for it. But you also got to be willing to learn. You got to be curious about things, right? So if you're curious about things, somebody else is paying for it, that's a good thing to do. So that I will put a check mark next to an MSA and an MBA, either one. Whatever you want to pay for, go for it. If someone else is paying for it, that's great. Okay, the next one is CFO/COO track. And for this, I'm going to recommend an MBA, right? So a lot of times to get to a position of a CFO or COO, you're going to find that an MBA is required, right? A Master's in Business Administration is required because here you're going to be learning hands-on projects that are going to teach you how to run a business, how to analyze financial results in a much better way than you would get with a CPA or a Master's of Science in Accounting, right? So CFO, COO track, MBA is recommended. Now, the next one I got is academics. And that's if you, for example, when you're going through college and you have a professor and you look at the lifestyle, you look at what they do, and you like being a professor, right? So if you want to work in academia, then an MSA is good. An MBA might be okay. Also for academics, a CPA is most of the time required. If you want to be an accounting professor, a CPA most of the time is going to be required. You have a choice between doing an MSA or an MBA beside your CPA. For an academics, right? A lot of times academics, in order for you to become a tenured professor, you need to go for a PhD in accounting, right? Which is another level. But at the basic level, you need to have a master's in accounting to be in academia. Okay. The next one is required for a promotion. And what I mean by that is that let's say you work for the Federal Reserve, right? And you work as an analyst, an accounting analyst, for example, and the next level to become a senior, you have to have a master's in accounting. They have these requirements within the job. You have to have a master's in accounting. So if that's your goal, then that's the only way to do it is to get a master's, or if they require an MBA. A lot of times though, it's a master's in accounting because they want you to get specialized in either taxation or auditing or forensic accounting or whatever field you're working in. So required for promotion. So to recap, overall recommendation, CPA license, right? My recipe is getting a bachelor's degree in accounting, 3.5 GPA, getting a CPA license. That's my overall recipe and recommendation. However, with a low GPA, or if you want to get to 150 credits required for the CPA license, I might recommend getting an MSA or an MBA, right? Career switch, if you're not satisfied with whatever career you got from the undergrad degree you got, it's a good opportunity to switch by doing a Master's of Science in Accounting. Networking, if you're not getting enough networking, this is a great opportunity to network, and especially in an MBA program. If someone else is paying for it, go for it, absolutely, I'll recommend it. CFO or COO track and MBA is recommended. Academics, MSA plus CPA, required for a promotion, I'll go for an MSA. So this has been a quick recap. I hope you liked the video. Give it a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. I also wanted to announce to you guys that I started to work on my accounting masterclass that I'm going to release on my website in summer of 2022. And in that class, I'm going to be teaching you my experience as a controller and how to record transactions, how accounting works in the real world, how to do a month-end close effectively, how to analyze financial statements. So when the class is ready in the summer of 2022, around August, I'm going to leave a link in this video and probably every other video that I'm going to make from that point forward. So go ahead and check maybe the description of this video in the future to see a link to that class when it's ready. But for right now, you can also go ahead and check my website where I have a couple of awesome online courses on financial analysis and accounting job interviews. Go ahead and check that out.